Hello.
I was thinking about like a title, but the description is more than a title.
Yeah. So I didn't know whether that's what you're after, but I've been putting the summary, the artificial intelligence, the AI summary on the as a description of each one. It misses a lot, but you know, it's something maybe. I don't know if it's helpful or not. But so what I title them with is the date and whether they're which meeting they are. And so like for these ones, I'll put Wednesday and the date and call it a meet, because I also do guide training and feta free stuff. So I don't want to mix them up because they're not public like these ones are.
You could ask the AI to give a title to the meeting. Give a
Okay.
title to this summary.
In the summary. Okay, right. Okay, all right, I can do that. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Yeah. Hi, Louise. Can you hear me? Louise? No? Is that a nod? You can hear us?
I can, yes, thank you.
Right.
Hi,
Thanks.
Vince. It's my first time here.
Yep. Yeah. We'll be like lifelong friends in about 10 minutes.
I'm in the UK, so it's early here, so bear with me.
So, Louise, as a first timer, tell us where you're up to on this so-called journey.
So, sorry, I've just woken up. So, I'm quite early on in the fetters. I came across Peniel.
Yes.
And I've been a searcher for many years. I started listening to Muji many years ago, and I think the biggest realization I remember ironing, and he said something like, "You're not your name," and it just really hit me, and
Yeah.
that kind of started me listening to more and more things. It was that one thing that I remember. I then went into 12-step recovery 3 years ago. I've been sober for 3 years. So I was listening to lots of videos, drinking lots of alcohol, trying to find something
Yep.
to feel better. And yeah, that sobriety has enabled something to hear a message much more clearly. And I just started listening to Feta 2 with Peniel, just on her videos, and she mentioned you, and I got in contact last week, so that's why I'm here.
Right.
And it's funny, I was just meditating, I woke up early, 5 a.m. and just drawn. I just remember your email, and I went to have a look, and it was exactly this time. So
Right.
yeah, so I just jumped on.
Good one.
Nice to be here. Nice
Yeah,
to meet you.
really nice to meet you too. Yeah. So when you heard, when Muji said you're not your name, that wasn't just like other words, was it? That something hit you, and something I would call it grokking, where you kind of understand at a body level rather than just at an intellectual level. Would you say it was like that?
Absolutely. I would say it was a physical jolt.
Right.
Physical.
Yes.
I literally put everything down, and I must have replayed it 2 or 3 times. And it was like a knocking of a belief.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would call that a shift. Yeah, definitely. You know, like we don't have right words for these things, but yeah, okay, good one.
No.
Yeah. So then after that though, what that seemed to do for you was to stimulate your seeking. Is that what you told me? Yeah. So you got looking, and part of that looking was to get drunk while you were doing it as well, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. The two went together very well.
Yes, yes, yeah. Because I mean, in my story here is I see them both as escapes, you know, and so that you got really good at doing that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then that went on for how long? For a couple of years?
No, that was no, it became quite obsessive. I got quite obsessive about the seeking. I just couldn't get enough videos.
Yeah,
and that was
everything you could, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I'd get home from work, and yeah, that would be listening, reading, devouring whatever I could.
You might say you're obsessed, but you're also addicted. Yes.
Yeah, it was like an addiction. Yeah, I didn't know it at the time. Yeah.
It's so familiar. It really is. Absolutely. Yeah.
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 But you're right. It was a comfort. There was comfort there.
Yeah.
There was something that was different from what I had sought comfort in before, like just many obsessive things. Yeah, and so that was 2012, maybe.
Yeah.
2012.
Okay.
This has been a long kind of drip journey.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it is for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then no shift since, or did
Oh yeah, a few things. I don't. It's funny when I hear people's. I was listening to the Three Continents meeting, and I loved that. I thought that was amazing, really amazing. And I don't have I can't go back and tell you about milestones. I can tell you a few. I would say the biggest shift has been in the last year. I've been doing some SE work, some somatic experiencing work, and actually really getting into the body. And it's like learning a new language, learning the language of the body. And it's been there for 50 odd years, and I had no idea that it's talking, and it's like, I'm personifying on it, obviously, but
yeah, I get what you're saying now. I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And now listening to Peniel talk about body yes, body no is all kind of I wouldn't say I understand. Like, I think a lot of it might be intellectual. I don't know. And I think this is why the doubt factor is quite interesting. Starting to really look at what beliefs I really have, what's driving that. That decision.
Yep. And the body will tell you, you know, that's right. The messages of I'm here are always shouting out. We just don't listen to them all the time, eh? Yeah. Good one. All right. Well, that's what we're all about here. Good stuff.
Fabulous.
I love it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I'm pleased. Yeah. So, okay, just let me formalize a couple of things. Firstly, there's no rules. You can swear all you like. I don't care what you say, what you do. I don't care what you wear or what you look like, you know. And don't put your hand up and wait for a break to say something. If you've got something to say, just jump in and say it. Right. Sometimes we talk over each other, but we usually back and forward and get over that pretty quickly. So, and look, there are some people here who I would kind of put into a guide category. Okay, they're not here as a seeker, and there are some here who are seekers. And I don't really differentiate, because the person who's seeking has still got experiences that others might relate to, and that I hear that all the time. I get lots of feedback in these videos about people who just buzz on what somebody else has said, and that person doesn't even know that they've said what they've said. You know what I mean? Just
I do.
well, because we're talking at an authentic level, you know, there's no bullshit here. You know, there's nobody's worried about what their appearances are. They're pretty much transparent and open to everything, you know, and that kind of builds a I don't know, a safe place, you know. And what we have is a hive mind, and you're now part of it. So just participate. Yeah. Okay, no worries. And and you might say something, and somebody will jump on it and say, well, look, there's a possible place you can look for a bit of identification going on, and so on. So that's yeah.
Willingness here. Thank you. That's great. It's great to be here. Thank you.
No worries. Great. Excellent. And here's Lorna. Yeah, very good. Good to see you. Yes.
Hi.
Yes. So let's jump straight in, Lorna. As a new face, tell us where you're up to on this journey. What's going on for you?
Well, the most recent update is that I had a lot of resistance to joining this meeting, which was very interesting, because it was sort of the ultimate test of free will. It felt like I had a choice, and I obviously didn't, because I'm here.
Good stuff.
Yeah, something just sort of drove me into my greenhouse at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, believe me, I'm so glad it did. Yeah. I mean, when people see, because we're recording, and this goes public to anybody who wants to see it, and there's about 250 on my list that I know by that you're now on. So what I discover is people watch this, and they hear somebody say something, and they go, yeah, that's me, you know. Good things
well,
happen.
that's what I've been doing. I've been doing that all week, listening to other people exactly like me, and thinking I'm not the only one.
Absolutely, yeah.
So bit of exposure therapy.
And when people are through the gate, they see that there's no self, yet they're still self-conscious. That always, I find that amusing, and it always tells me, yeah, well, there's something to work on there, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really big one here. Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah. So I don't know if you got, when I was just telling Louise a moment ago about there's no rules here. Say what you like, swear all you like. I don't care what you look like or anything, you know, but I'm really listening hard at what you say. And having thoughts will come as a result of that. And sometimes I'll tell you, sometimes I won't. But others here will as well. So we're all equal, is what I'm saying. Your opinion is as important as everybody else's. So don't wait for a break. Don't put your hand up. Just jump in if you've got something to say.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope that you won't get self-conscious again. It'll be after one experience, you should be part of the family. So how will you not come? Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great.
So tell us how you've been going, Leonard. You look a little bit weather-worn there.
No, it's just my out of bed hair. It's quite early here still, but I'm having a day off. My Wednesdays are always just like a weekend in the middle of the week. I'm quite fine. Yesterday after work, I had a very nice experience. It was very special. As I told you before, I'm getting to know someone, and then the last 2 weekends we spent together, and it was like 48 hours with the same person and talking a lot, and yeah, very intense actually. And I think yesterday or like Monday, Tuesday was a bit like this strange transition to get back to my own life, being alone again. But yeah, there was a bit of something in the background which was saying like, but who is this person and what will come out of this story and things like that. But it was really rather in the background. I could not really stop it. I just felt like, oh, okay, now I'm really a bit focused on this other person. And actually, I don't really want to lose my independence, you know? So, I mean, yeah, that was just like a voice, some voices in the background.
So you weren't aware of any sensations accompanying that? It sounds like a bit of a safety thing.
Yeah, sensations. No, it was not so strong. It didn't manifest
So
physically.
very background.
Yeah, in the background, because yeah, after talking so much, and then there are like 2 days that you don't hear anything from this person, but I also didn't call, for example. And this is rather some conditioned thing from the past. It doesn't really, yeah. I mean, in the past, for example, I would have gotten like super anxious, like, why doesn't he call me, and what does this mean, and blah 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 blah, rather like this teenage thing.
Yep.
But it doesn't really, no, it's just something very, not very loud in the background. But anyway, it was like a bit persistent. And then
But just before you
afterward,
go on, you were seeing this as it was happening, eh?
yeah, mhm.
Yeah. Okay, going good.
Yeah, but then after work, I did a walk to a lake, which is like 15 minutes from where I live. And I have like my favorite place where I take a bath. And I just, yeah, I just spent some time floating in the water, looking to the sky and the trees, and there were some birds flying by. And this was like, and this was total calmness inside. And it was just like this, yeah, I connected to my body, and then that was all like faded out. And when I went home, I felt like really comfortable with this character Leonard. I mean, it was again very clear that it's just like a character, but then on the other hand, I thought, yeah, but it's also pleasant to embody this character, and that's really something I didn't feel so often in my life. I mean, in the past, as you know, I was rather like this addictive, self-destructive, self-hating person. And I mean, I know it's just a character, but on the other hand, I'm also at peace with this character. And at the same time, I felt like, yeah, okay, I'm getting to know someone, but if it doesn't go on, for example, it's just fine as well. I mean, I don't feel like I have to manipulate reality in order to make this thing work or something like that. So yeah, of course, somehow it means something to me because I opened up to somebody and I enjoy sharing intimacy but on the other hand, it's not the most important thing in my life at the moment. It's just like, I think the good thing is that there is this overall contentment in the background and not this feeling of being empty inside and that I have to fill this emptiness.
I'm kind of interested, Leonard, in that feeling that you just described about emptiness and needing to fill it. Partly because we just had a little bit of, we just talked a little bit about addiction with Louise. But is that a feeling that is quite familiar to you? Is that something you've had quite a bit?
Yeah, actually, when like in 2018, I quit drinking and taking drugs and smoking and so on. And yeah, but I think with this process of being sober, I kind of lost this feeling of emptiness. I mean, it's not that it doesn't happen anymore, that maybe I'm at home and I feel bored or lonely or something like that, but it's not as compulsive as it was before. And I think, yeah, after quitting this addictive behavior, I discovered that actually there's no empty, there's no void inside of me. It's and I discovered a lot of things that I find fascinating. I'm curious about a lot of creativity, yeah, pleasure. And I understood that actually there has never been an emptiness inside of me. It was created actually by the drug, by the alcohol. I mean, this alcohol and drugs really fucked me up, and that would make me feel lonely. No, not lonely, but like empty inside, and yeah, because people many people say that first there is the problem and then there is the drug, and that's also true somehow, but I think it's also that the drug causes the problem as well, you know. So I would say in my case, yeah, of course I had my traumas that made me made me have an addictive behavior, but this I would say this feeling of this kind of emptiness that has to be numbed by alcohol or other drugs, I hardly remember how it felt actually.
Cool. That's great, and that's really fascinating that you found it that way round with the drugs and alcohol. And so when you connected with your body when you were at the lake or bath or wherever you were, how did you do that, and what did that feel like?
It felt like that, yeah, I felt like that all my skin at the same time was surrounded by this fresh coldness, and it was like being this, I don't know, but that's just like kind of cheesy, poetic way of putting it. I don't know. It felt like yeah, I don't want to make up a story about it. It was just yeah, I don't know, like just like a meditative moment, but rather physical. I don't know.
And it kind of shifted you a little bit, did it? Out of what
Yeah,
had
totally. Like afterwards, like I just yeah, maybe I looked to those thoughts or those this anxiety or whatever I would call it once more, and then it felt like, yeah, but I already know this kind of shit, and it's like I don't really want to waste my energy thinking about those things. And yeah, also it showed me that why focus on these thoughts, you know? I mean, there are so many other things that I can draw my attention to. For example, like the freshness of the water, the trees, the sky, and yeah. And actually also, I mean, this is rather like a judgment again, but then I noticed that yeah, because I would say after a long time of being very strict to myself and being very rigid, because maybe I thought, yeah, I shouldn't trust myself because I'm an addictive person and I always have to, yeah, be on the watchtower or something like that. Now I see that, yeah, I don't have to be that strict anymore. I mean, it won't happen. I mean, I won't drink again, or I won't smoke again. I won't take drugs again. I just know that because, yeah, on an intuitive level or even physical level, there isn't even the desire for it. I mean, and yeah, for example, I understood that I was working too much, so I reduced my working hours, and also I understood that there are some needs that have to be met in order to feel good, and that I don't have to be like an aesthetic monk or something like that. That was just like some self-image that I had for quite a while, which was like, if I'm really this very spiritual person, then I should not buy things for myself that are not needed, and I should not eat this or that, and I should, yeah, I don't know, I should not need a hot shower, and I should not need this. Yeah, you know what I mean, like this really Buddhist monk style or something like that. And now I see that it's like a bit ridiculous, but I also can look at it in a humorous way. I mean, it was just part of this, yeah, search maybe. But it's just interesting because now I feel so much contentment, and it was all, yeah, and I think it's due to just letting go of this kind of rules and for myself, and those self images of yeah, how I should live like a very monk-like person, and also understanding that it's not so good for me to work too much and have too much much stress, and yeah.
And so this character, Leonard character, that you're quite enjoying inhabiting, yeah, how does it, like, does that feel quite, I don't know, how does that feel? Is that something that's not quite you? It's yeah, can you explain what you meant by that?
Yeah, I think, I mean, okay, the person I'm getting to know, for example, is in a super different, has a super different lifestyle, biography, and also at the moment a lot of problems. And I'm not so bothered by the problems. It's just like an exchange of his and my reality. But yeah, sometimes I have to say that from a perspective of what we are doing here, some problems that he has seem quite far from me now. I mean, things like, what do other people think of me, and what effect do I have on others, and yeah, maybe to make it a bit more understandable, I should say that he has 2 kids. He was married, and 8 years ago he fell in love with a guy, so that like made all this family thing to explode totally. But they are still friends, and they are having this nest model, like the children live in a house, and the parents live in other places, but they always live like some part of the month in the house and then in their own place. But yeah, I think there are, like, at the moment, a lot of conflicts because both partners are not willing to do so many compromise anymore. And then it's like, yeah, I like this person, I'm interested in him, and I'm listening basically. But then I also see, like, wow, there are so many problems that yeah, on one hand I'm very free. I'm not bound. I mean, I could decide to move to another place tomorrow, and then I would do it. I don't have a family. I can change my job. All those things. I mean, my life in itself, it's not, I don't have many responsibilities, all those things. And I think that's maybe what I mean when I say that I'm quite okay with the Leonard character, which is quite independent and free and unbound. And the other thing is that, yeah, I'm listening. Well, I mean, it's difficult for me to understand because I don't have children. I was never married. I didn't ever possess a house or something like that. And the interesting thing is the only thing that I can do is to listen. But then also I notice that yeah, I won't bother this person with non-duality because probably he won't understand that, or that would be a bit annoying maybe. But I noticed that I can ask questions, and those questions point to certain things, and that really has something to do with what we are talking about here, for example. And yesterday we talked for some hours, and I mean, also I don't know his family. I don't know the ex-partner. I don't know the dynamics in this family. But for example, I could really ask things like, but is there, for example, some part in you that wants to punish her for something? And then he said like, oh yes, maybe. And I don't know, it's just like after this conversation, he said, actually, I really feel much more calm now. So I don't really want to say that I'm able to help this person, but I think this non-dual perspective somehow also gives me the opportunity to just listen and to just ask questions. And of course, some things are really like, okay, I don't really get what is the problem, because maybe I have seen through it, but then I also understand it's much more easier. It's much easier for me to say, yeah, I don't understand this kind of problems because I'm living alone. I'm not confronted to those things every day. And I think it's like much more difficult to see through all of these things when you are entangled with someone that you have a dynamic with that is developed over many years or something like that.
Sounds like you're in a really good place, I think. Yeah, and you know, moving around a family like that certainly opens up much. The likelihood of getting triggered is a lot higher when you're in those kind of situations. But it sounds like it just feels really good that the way you know, and your guiding of him, which is kind of not really guiding, but that sounds pretty skillful too. I like that. That sounds good. Yeah, you got to watch that guru complex thing though. You got to watch when you think you can help somebody. Yeah, because it's all about helping yourself, you know, when you help them.
Yeah, I don't think I can help. I mean, I can just listen.
The way you are
Yeah.
sounds good. Yes, yeah, that's.
But I also told him, yeah, I mean, I don't really know if I'm the right person to talk to because I don't have a family. I was never married. But then he said, like, yeah, but the fact that you are not familiar with those things is quite helpful, because then I have to ask, like, and how is that, and how does it feel, and how did it come, and so on. So maybe it's like this outsider perspective can be helpful as well. But
also having gone through the gate yourself, you have a pretty wide perspective, probably because he's involved in the conflict. His perspective is narrowed, and you're seeing a bigger picture, which makes it.
Yeah, and then also this because then he is imagining negative things, how everything could turn out, and what the other person is probably thinking, and then simply by asking, like, how can you be so sure about that, you know? And then also I think, like, I mean, this is like a tendency that everybody has, that you are now in a difficult situation and then you think it's going to go on like this forever. And that's why it feels so dramatic. But in the end, it's just like a moment within a process. So
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it sounds good. So tell me, why are you here? You're in such a good place. You don't need us. Why are you here?
yeah, because I would like to stay in this place.
You're very welcome to stay. I'm just interested. Do you have other expectations about something here?
Yes, maybe it's just like not expectations, but it makes me feel very good when I listen to you, and I can see that I'm not the only weirdo. Or like,
I love that.
because usually when I don't do it anymore, because I had like times when I tried to talk about maybe it was like this guru thing a bit, like to make everybody else understand that there is no me. But I don't do that anymore, because people just people will just think that I'm crazy, and they will start to worry, and I think they will push me into this corner of people who say that coronavirus doesn't exist or something like that.
Oh,
You know?
yeah. Oh, yeah. People see all sorts of things, don't they? Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So, what do you reckon, Lorna? That sounded like he's in a pretty good place, eh?
Yeah, but a lot of it sounded very familiar. I thought it was very interesting what she said about being on the outside, and that actually being an advantage in being able to see freshly into someone else's situation. We normally think we need experience of things to be able to help, but just by being aware, and still we have so much to offer to see things in a different way. And I relate to that so much, because I often feel that I'm inadequate in my knowledge base to be able to help people. But I know that, and it's not just about a feeling of being able to help, but just being present, to know that I can interact without feeling like I've got to draw on some understood knowledge about how the world works or whatever, and just rely on what's going to come up now to provide what's needed. For instance, just joining this meeting, I generally find technology very challenging, but I know that it'll be taken care of. I just have to take that step. So it's just that, having that faith that what you need is always there within you. You don't have to draw on something that you think you haven't got, which you actually always have. So yeah, that's what came up there.
Is that a lived experience for you, that what you need appears?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's this, there's this sort of dichotomy of part of me that always feels that I can't keep up, and then, but also this knowing that I don't have to, and it's available. But I always come back to that analogy of the light being shone one step at a time. The man in the dark who only had a small torch, and he was worried because he didn't think he was going to be able to illuminate his whole journey. And he's met a wise man who said, well, you only need to illuminate the next step. And so that's very much how my life plays out.
Right. So is that something that you remind yourself of at under certain circumstances, like when you get a little bit feeling of overwhelmed, you come back and think of that one step at a time?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But also now, since going through the gate, there's this sort of acceptance that it actually doesn't matter what comes up. If nothing comes up, to be able to respond in a situation, then that actually is okay too.
Yep.
Whereas before there'd be this nagging feeling of, oh, I'm not able to interact here, and I'm less than for some reason.
Right.
But now I don't actually. I mean, there's still very much that energy there, but it's just seen as energy rather than anxiety.
Great. Right. So this sounds like it's a bit new for you. How long have you since you went through the gate?
I think it's two weeks now.
Oh,
So yeah.
yeah, it is new. Wow, so fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scab hasn't even fallen off yet.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's great. I mean, that's and what is happening for you sounds active, and that's really good value. You know, that's important. We've got to keep this stuff alive. If we do nothing, we go back to sleep. You know, so yeah. That's good stuff. Yeah.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah.
So when are you going to start guiding at LU?
Well, that was something interesting. My immediate feeling was I need to do this straight away, but then the doubts came, and I have had this real sort of swinging backwards and forwards into what the hell am I doing? Because it's so ramped up now, this need to feel exposed all the time to hearing it spoken about, and this feeling of needing to help. But there's been a sense of I still need to help myself more first. But I think that's just a story, because again, I've thought, well, I know that if I'm in that situation of guiding, then what I need will be available. It's not something I can preempt. It's if I go back into this, well, I'm not ready yet. That's just going back into the story of I haven't got what I need when I probably actually.
All right. So that something just jumped up for me, right? One thing that we do is we instinctively want to fix that whatever turns up. Now, stay with me for a minute while I sort out the words. Look, I'm busy. Can I ring you back?
Oh yeah, just on the tell you, I'm going to see that guy, that Jeff, that fellow that asked me to help him about his wife dying.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going around there. So I just thought, I'm going around in about 15 minutes. But if you would want to come over, it's no big deal. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Sorry about that. Twice today that's happened. Yeah. If you say there's no self here to feel that, and as a result, that causes you to not feel it anymore, right? You can be sucked into thinking that was success, but what it is bypassing, right? You're not. You're just missing the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got to be really careful after a while, that kind of stuff is fine, because what it means is you've also seen it happen, and that's what all it's required a lot of the time. But when we, as a way of escaping what's come up, what circumstances has triggered for us, we're missing an opportunity there. That's all. Yeah. So, yeah. So sorry to interrupt. Go. Keep going.
That's okay. Lost the thread now.
I did a bit too, but we were basically talking about guiding. Now, one of the things
Yeah.
that came up that I thought you heard Lennart when he was talking how he has, I don't know what you'd say, or developed or what's appeared for him is a really soft, gentle kind of wisdom where he responds to what some of this other fellow's conflict situation by asking questions that will kind of give him the opportunity to very gently discover what he's pointing at or not, you know. No, yeah. So that wisdom comes from just having a much wider perspective now. You're no longer, that's why they call it liberation as well as waking up, because with liberation, you're no longer compelled to follow rules of grammar, you know, obsessively, or social rules obsessively. Everything you can kind of look at freshly.
Yeah.
So what I say to you is that if you're somewhat lucid, and you certainly are, then having gone through the gate is all that you need to be able to start guiding. You don't need to know any knowledge at all. There is plenty of stuff around if you want. Like at you, there's all sorts of files that people have written over the years about how to guide and what exercises you use and all that kind of stuff. But you don't need any of that. You know, you'll see when somebody is a seeker and they turn up and they start talking, the first sentence they say is, you'll see a whole lot of implications in that sentence where they take a concept, an idea, for something that is, and your job is simply to point that stuff out to them as a guide. And you do it by asking questions so they can discover it themselves. So you've got what it takes, but you know, you think it'll happen when it's ready, won't it? You know, it's not your choice. There's so many good things will happen for you as a guide in terms of your own deepening. You know, that's well worth emphasizing. It is a brilliant thing to do.
You never know what you know until you are on that other side of giving the advice. It's the only time you ever know.
And let me tell you, as a newbie, you've got an advantage over people that have been through the gate a long time ago, and that is that people forget what it used to be like. They forget what normal is, you know. And you can still remember, so that's really helpful.
I hadn't thought of it like that. It makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
I want to say thank you, Lorna, for the image of walking in the dark, and you only have a little light, you know. Because I think doubt often appears because we still hold the belief that we have to see everything to be sure that it's true, you know. We have to see the horizon to be sure that's where we are going. But in fact, not knowing is knowledge. The fact that you really don't know, but there's experience, you know. So it's a very good image. I really like it, and I think the whole process ultimately it's falling into the unknown and accept, and that's it. You know. And
but
I like. Oh, tell me.
I was just going to say that during the whole of the guiding process, that was how it felt. There was something deeper that knew that I knew, but something on the surface that was still resisting all the time. But there was just this sense of, you don't need to know that bit. It's already in place. You just have faith. But it was a different understanding of faith. You know, it was a much more like, just this word grokking it keeps coming up a lot for me at the moment. There's this feeling of understanding things at a level that I just can't explain. It's not the normal place where understanding seems to happen.
But you see, this is it's a major shift, like, because it is not faith anymore, because you can feel it, you know, you can experience it.
Yeah.
So it's another game, you know, it's something else.
Yeah.
And often I like this image, like you recognize the tree by its fruits, you know, and this feeling is the fruit, but you never see the tree. You never the tree is always kind of missing, you know, but there's a fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of the mystery through which we are. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Is it okay if I just speak?
Yes.
Okay. The interaction, you're talking about how there's certain situations that didn't bother you anymore. And Vince brought up some caution around that. And that kind of, I kind of relate to that, because this last week, I mean, there's some, I suppose you can, in the old terms, you could call it trauma. There's actually trauma going on daily here, but it's different. It's experience different, and like it feels so okay on one hand, and then there's the dance. Like there's also seeing the getting caught in the it just goes up here and starts whirring, and then there's more noticing of what's going on in the body, and then sometimes there's a doubt that maybe I'm avoiding, maybe I feel okay because I'm avoiding, and there's just a little bit of doubt of whether like it's really okay to feel like it's okay to feel the pain as it is, like this, with the detachment that it means anything, or is there avoidance there? So similar to you, I'm very new, I think. I don't even know if I've been through the gate to have that kind of, but I know that the whole perception of everyday life has changed. And I also liked what you talked about, because I hadn't thought about this, you know, this belief that once you have this shift, or a shift, that you know everything, you see, you know, and you're skillful in everything. And I love that you talk about that, because that's not the experience isn't like that over here, but it's quite profound in some other areas. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot in that, Louise. A lot came up for me as you were talking then. One question that came up was just, yeah, words are funny, you know. We just got to use words, and we know we're very lenient in the way we hold somebody to our version of the meaning of a particular word. So anyway, we'll just use words and see what happens. But yeah, so when I got are you in a domestic abuse situation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I picked up on, and I went, wow. Yeah. Look, you're going to what you're doing. Okay, here, let me just go back a few steps. Nothing that comes up is wrong. Any idea of right and wrong is just mental bullshit, right? What comes up is what comes up, and what you experience is the only thing that's actual for you. And when we, as soon as we look at that, we go, what that experience is our interpretation of the inputs that we get through our senses and so on, and then what our mind does with that when that happens as well. So that's our experience, and that's all that's actual. So whatever it is that you're doing is making something bearable, right? And so how could you possibly think that's wrong? So what I would like to offer you is that there is always another dimension to everything. Everything is much more complex than what we first see it as. So although you have got yourself into a state where what you experience is bearable, not pleasant, but bearable, or whatever it is, it might even turn out to be a bit pleasant. That's possible too. But whatever it is, that's what you're able to cope with at the moment. You know, and even they're the wrong words again. But that's how you've developed your ability to handle what's going on in a way that is best for your survival. Put it that way. Yeah. Now there may be, and there almost certainly is, another perspective where it says how we respond to that might be more useful if we respond in this way or than if we respond in that way. But that's another perspective, and we may not be able to access that perspective while we're pretty busy with the first one that we talked about a minute ago. So, you know, you will move where life takes you, is a shitty way to put it, but it's a way, you know. So what if you find that the way you now cope, you can do, if that's easy for you to do, you know, easy enough for you to do, then you might have room to check out the other perspective that says, okay, what's useful about that particular circumstance? What's useful about the pain I'm now going through? What's useful about this situation? But you can imagine straight away when I say that you have to be somewhat divorced from the situation to be able to use that perspective. You can't use it when you're in the middle of feeling hurt or pain or whatever, suffering. You know, you need to be kind of outside of that a little bit to be able to use that perspective. But it'll happen when it's ready to happen. So yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about whether you've been through the gate or not. I mean, I was hearing you, and it sounded to me like you've got a pretty good handle on this stuff. But we'll fine tune it. Don't you worry about that. Yeah. So none of that's an issue. What's there? Everything is about what is going on now. Always, what is the experience now? That's what everything rests on. That's the only thing that's actual. Do you recognize that anything other than what you're actually currently experiencing, anything else, everything else is just a story about something for you? It can be nothing but a story. It's just thought, you know? Yeah.
The stepping out of the moment, and that's just a way of describing, is it almost daily becomes more and more apparent. Like there's almost like a feeling that as soon as you go to the past or to the future or the fantasy land, it's got a feeling. It's there's something that's ringing a bell, saying, you know, and then I like what you said about this is the perspective now. And this is what I'm getting from this call. It's like, this is the perspective now, right now. I think there's no need to worry about what other perspectives there are, but just to know that there's a much bigger perspective is it's just freeing. It's just really freeing. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, strange things happen on this particular journey. We're already at a point, all of us here are already at a point where we recognize that we're not victims of the world. You know, we're not just the result of what's external forces, whoever they are or wherever they are, whatever they are. They're there, but they don't determine anything other than what we experience. Yeah. So that's already a pretty big step forward, supposed to be.
Yeah, and I will say that there is a lot, this word come up a lot about avoidance, you know, I'm avoiding, and but really what is here is everything that there is to feel. So you don't have to worry about trauma and hiding emotion and subconscious and all of these things, because if you don't see it, well, does it exist for you? So, you know, it's imagination. And if it's here, well, it's here. So you do something about it. If you feel no, you do something that it's there. So there is a reaction if it's needed. You know, so life becomes very more spontaneous in that way. And in a strange way, when you unite, when you stay in the unknown and you really see that there is only this instant, the answer becomes more spontaneous and more surprising, because you respond to what is here. And if it's joy, well, enjoy the joy. You know, there's no, oh, I feel joy, but I have my trauma somewhere. I have to. No, if you joy, just enjoy the joy, and don't worry that life will bring you misery soon enough. So when misery is there, well, you feel the misery, and what else you do? You know, there will be a natural impulse to do something about that, and just goes on forever. And for now, but yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So, yeah. So I've already lost what you guys told me earlier on. Are you Louise watching Penilla videos, or was that Lorna? That was you.
That was me. Yeah, I've just started the better two.
Second one.
Yeah.
Second one, doubt. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of I want to say that's the easy one to get past, that one, because it's we could, yeah, so this could be taken as bypassing as well. Oh, doubt's only thought. It's nothing but thought, is it? Doubt. It's just thoughts. If you don't believe any thoughts and you've got no problems with doubt, that's easy. It's not like that, is it?
No.
Because it's not about the thoughts. It's about how we respond to the thoughts. It's about our belief. That's where doubts are. And Penilla does a great job with them, because she divides them up into two kinds of doubts. You know, the physical and the intellectual ones.
Yeah.
The physical ones, it's easy because you just investigate what's going on in the body. It's the not believing the thought ones that are it's the tricky bit. Everybody has doubts. I think so. Everybody I've experienced with has doubts. I did. One lasted for months when they first turned up. I don't remember how long, but it seemed like a long time. But so, yeah, but they'll go. When all you got to do is examine everything that turns up. Just look at it closely. The trick is to step outside of it, not be living out the content of the thought. So here's a good one. A thought turns up and you're having an experience that there is a thought present. And that, I don't know that about any sequence of events, but there's also what the thought is about, the content of the thought, the story in there.
Yeah.
Right? Now, one can't exist without the other, but that's another story. But so when we're so involved in the content of the story that we're having an emotional response to it, and we're living it out, we're really expressing whatever that story is about. We're kind of swallowed up. We can't have any thoughts about it. We're just simply an emotional reaction ball going on. Yeah. But there is a thing you can do, which is to step outside of that thought. You can just allow it to go whirling and twirling and doing what it does about whatever's going on, whatever the story is. And you can just step outside and you can watch that happening from the outside of the thing. Yeah. And then you're back to experiencing the fact that you're having a thought. Right? And then you can also see when you're outside of it that thought is associated with sensations going on in the body. Right? So those sensations, they might validate the thought, right? Or they might be the cause of the thought, if you use those words. The thoughts are the result of what the sensation was that you got, you know. If you get touched on the back of the neck and you're outside at dusk, you'll think it's a mosquito. So the thoughts will be, oh, I've got a mosquito to swat. So it's a case of stepping outside of the thought. Now, you don't want to, you know, that's what I was talking about earlier, where you stepping outside the thought can be, all of a sudden that can change everything. And if you go, oh, well, that got rid of the symptom, that's all I need to do, then that's missing the opportunity that's there when you go looking at the sensation a bit closer and you realize that there are other stories involved in the whole thing. And those stories are about what's going on now. Those stories about what went on when you were conditioned to have that response. They come from before.
And is that how you can find the belief, the underlying belief? Because that's okay.
Right. And you can't willfully change a belief. You can't say, oh, I'm going to stop believing that. You believe or you don't believe. That's the way it is, you know. It's always an interesting question I have, that is, when we drop a belief, do we always replace it with another belief? Some say yes and some say no. I don't know. But anyway, so what we recognize is that whatever has triggered us, that's on the surface, and that there's other stuff that's the reason why it triggered us underneath there. And that's where the opportunity is, but we've got to be able to do it, and we don't do it. I mean, we're not even going to think of looking there if we're overwhelmed with the first thing. You know, if we're still in the middle of that thought content going around and around, we're not even going to think about what's underneath it. We're just consumed by that. So really, it's a case of watching for opportunities, you know, if they happen. Yeah.
Plenty of those.
Yes, yeah. Well, then, so here you go. Crazy to say it, but boy, aren't you lucky? You know, you've got so many opportunities that come up so frequently.
I do think about that. Yeah. But it's this is so helpful, because I think that was the question I came with, is like the doubt. How do you, like, I know there's something there that is blocking, or there's doubting. I don't even know what I want to call it, but it's just so hidden. And getting in touch with the body, that there's a real realization that that's going on. But what you've talked about today is really helpful, to have stuff to do when that comes up, if that makes sense. So thank you. Yeah, my words don't come flow. They don't flow, but yeah, thank you. I have to go and get my kids ready for school, but I have to leave. But thank you so much. I will be back.
No problem.
It's been really, and really lovely to meet everybody. Thank you.
Yep, no worries.
Same for me, actually. I'm going to have to shoot off, but thanks so much. I'll be back too.
Right. Good stuff.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Jen, I'd really love you to ask Ramiz how he's going.
It's really funny because that's exactly what I wanted to do. Ramiz, how are you?
There's a lot going in my mind. Yesterday I had this experience of usually when I wake up I feel this disconnection, this separation between how I feel to be me, and I think for the first time I faced or come closer to what is death. And I felt like, holy shit, I'm gonna die. Like, it's like this is the first time I realize it. Like, and I don't know which part was the scary. Like, what was going in my head? Like, what if I just got stuck in the dream world and I was never able to come back to the body? Like, and I felt this contraction, like something is grabbing into the body, like holding into it. And this truth of impermanence, it feels like it's a ghost, like following me everywhere.
Didn't understand impermanence is following you.
Yeah. Like I like I'm watching like everything is just dying every moment. One moment.
You're alive. I thought you were dead already. You come back to life.
That wasn't me.
So Ramiz, was this happening as you were waking up this morning? Is that, did I get it right? Were you coming out of a dream, or were you waking up when you felt this?
It's like the first moment I become aware of my body when I wake up.
Right. So were you dreaming at the time you woke up? You remember?
Yeah, but I don't remember the dream. I remember like dreaming, and it's too hot here, and I can find it hard to actually fall asleep deeply. I'm just like
Yes.
anything can wake me up, and I'm in this dream state, awake state,
Yeah.
and my body is contracting all the time I'm sleeping.
Right. I don't know if it's relevant. It's probably not, but I'll just mention it anyway, that there is a thing that happens when we dream, where our body becomes catatonic. We can't move our body. And that's for obvious reasons. We don't want to be acting out our dreams, or we might damage ourselves or hurt somebody. So the natural thing is to inhibit movement at certain depths of sleep for dreaming purposes. But that's probably not what you experienced when you said you felt like you couldn't move. I just wondered if that was the case. Maybe not. I don't know.
No, I didn't experience that I couldn't move.
Oh, okay, good. But so there is this, just to get it clear, there was this exclamation that said, "Shit, I'm dead." That were the words that you experienced?
No, it's like this moment of coming back to the body, like, holy shit, I might not come back to the body at some
Okay, yeah,
point.
gotcha.
Like,
Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. But then there's also this, everything's dying. So just that's a bit of a leap, isn't it? From, you might not get back to your body to wake it up to make it come alive again, but then there is what you were saying about everything's dying.
I don't know how to explain.
Is there a color you would put on that experience?
The vision that I'm having is something like, it's like if you're reading a book, like every page, it's not like you are reading and you flip the page. It's more like the page is just goes to ashes with a flame. Like,
Hmm.
like this is like maybe this is the difference that I'm noticing. It's like the memory is like it's trying to construct like a book, like there is something happens, something will happen,
Yeah.
and you can point to the page maybe, but there is no page. There isn't.
Mm.
So what? Yes, there's no page, and so you are realizing that there is no page. So what? So what? It's good, it's bad. I don't get it.
It's like I don't know how to adjust to this. It's strange, like
Mm. Yep. So like the story has a beginning and an end, but no middle.
but it's also sad.
Say that again. It's also what?
Sad.
Bad. Yeah. Yeah. The absence is, yeah. So is there that missing, is that in your body as well? Is there something missing there? The middle part, the reasons, the whys, the whatever it is, the descriptions in the middle part, is that also missing in the body?
Sometimes I feel like the sense of anticipation isn't here, and it feels bleak.
And what's your connection to that? Whereabouts are you connected to that bleakness?
I don't understand the question.
Oh, okay. Then it's a stupid question. Yeah, I just want to know more about it. I just kind of want to get in there and know more. Well, the part of the question was about, is there any depression that's hooked onto that bleakness? So the depression would be in the body, you would be feeling it, and the bleakness is what it's about, or what it's not about, or what's missing, or whatever. But that would be a connection. That is there depression about this anywhere?
I'm not sure. Like, is the depression known as a feeling, or as like, is there symptoms of depressions? Like,
Well, whatever, yeah, whatever suits. Anything.
I'm actually these days I'm excited about something, and it like an idea for a project. So I can't say depression.
So if we look at this from a 180-degree different angle, we just switch around and look back at it. What would be defined as joy that would chase out the sadness? What could happen that would change that from a sad situation to a joyful situation?
I don't feel like I want to change it.
Okay. Right. So there is a connection to it. Is there something nice about it?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I don't care to even ask.
So when you say you don't feel like you want to change it, is that, would you that's different to saying I don't feel the need to change it. I don't feel like I want to change it is different to feeling a need or not feeling a need to change it. That would be more about continuing to allow it. But just tell me about that. Is it a want to, is not wanting to change it the same as wanting to keep it the same? Did you mean wanting, not wanting to change it or not needing to change it?
It's just like it. I didn't think about it changing it.
Yeah. No reason to. Okay. Yeah. Yet it doesn't sound like a pleasant experience. Is it? Is it pleasant?
Does it have to be?
No, of course not. Of course not. No. that's also interesting. If it's not pleasant and it's totally accepted, that's pretty good, eh? I like that. If that's the way it is. I just can't quite get my mind around the way it is. It's an unusual one to relate to. Talk to Ramiz, Bianca. I have a feeling that you have a better idea about what he's saying than I do. I don't know if that's right, but
Well, I have one question. Does it feel right?
Good question. Yes.
It's a right thing to feel.
I think yes.
Very interesting what's happening, because we ask Ramiz what I understand is like Jen asked Ramiz how it was, and Ramiz answer, and suddenly there is all of this question about him, but I don't hear any question about from Ramiz. So it's interesting.
I can ask if you want.
No, I'm just pointing out what I'm seeing.
I'm seeing something really different too. And I'm wondering, where is Ramiz?
I think he's still here. I feel like my spine is almost gonna burst on fire. So fun.
Hot.
Yeah.
And isolated to your spine?
Like my back here.
So what will happen if it bursts into flames?
I don't mind.
Yeah. Your body is very, very reactive, isn't it? You feel lots in the body. It's big for you.
I don't know if this is something new or it has been this way, but I haven't noticed. At some period in my life, I actually thought that I have autism or I'm in the spectrum at least for how much I didn't relate to anybody. And right now, I can feel what people are feeling, and it's so strong. Like, what the hell? To the degree that I am not sure who's feeling this.
So these, when you have these strong feelings, they always seem to be about somebody around you, somebody you know, somebody who's close to you, physically close, I mean.
It doesn't matter. It's just when someone expressing feelings, I can feel it in my body. Like
Yep.
it's like being close to a DG speaker. Like
Yes. So that empathic response is really strong. And do you have that about yourself as well? That's a tricky one, isn't it? So can you experience that same kind of response to your own feelings as you do to other people's feelings?
actually, I can't distinguish anymore.
Okay. Yeah. So you don't know whether they're yours or somebody else's. It could be either or both. But they're usually fairly big feelings, fairly intense feelings.
We have been speaking to someone before the meeting, and she was describing a difficult experience, and how she wanted to just scream, and I felt it, like I felt the scream in the body. She wasn't screaming, but I felt the scream.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you would have felt that even if she hadn't described it to you? Would you have picked up on it from body language rather than her describing in detail?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. So have you had that experience with anybody when they were experiencing something pleasurable?
I don't remember exactly, but I suppose, yeah. I felt a sense of joy. I don't know, yesterday or maybe like a child's joy, like I haven't experienced, like I don't know for how long, like. And my first reaction was to hide it or not to make it big. I don't know why, but I noticed that I'm trying to keep it slow, like low, like. But when I noticed that, I tried to exaggerate the feeling even more, like.
To overcome the hiding.
It feels like there is a kind of a trade, like for how much joy I'm gonna feel how much shit in return.
Yeah. It's amazing, that one. That's really common. Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, it's true. Either you feel joy and anger and sadness and everything, or you go numb.
Yeah, it's like narrowing the spectrum of emotions.
So was the inclination to hide the joy feeling to do with social constraints, like from outside?
No, I don't know. I was by myself.
Okay.
I was alone.
Right. Yeah, so the inclination to hide the joy is, I find it intriguing. I mean, you would expect that we would be wanting to throw it out there to show everybody, to share it, whatever, with joy, but you had the inclination to hide it. But yeah, so that's I find that intriguing. Mm. And if it wasn't a society saying, you know, don't do that, there wasn't a big thing at all about don't do it, but there was an inclination to hide it. Yeah. To make it smaller. Where did that come from, that inclination, do you think? What's the first thoughts that jump up?
I can't relate it to any memory, or it feels it feels like whenever I feel something good, I'm gonna feel something bad and afterward.
Yeah.
As much like bad in degree or something like.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it's just narrowing the emotion, like this kind of they talk about the dopamine level, and when you have like a higher dose of dopamine, you're gonna drop lower than the base level.
Yes.
Does it work?
So actually managing the dopamine level to not go so high actually leaves it like in the middle. But so it works, but it makes it so dull. It makes it below the normal level, like.
Yeah. What were you going to ask, Jen?
Oh no, just Ramiz answered it. I was going to ask if it worked. So yeah.
Scientifically, it works.
Do you find it works for you?
I'm not sure. I haven't felt that degree of joy before. I don't remember to make a comparison.
Yeah, I had a similar. I had I don't remember how old I was, but I kind of must have been a teenager or something. But I used to definitely have that, and I called it a superstition. I had this superstition that for every 3 good things, there's got to be at least one bad thing that comes along. And so if I had 3 good things in a row, I'd be waiting for the bad thing to turn up. But I just call that a superstition, and it stopped happening eventually. But I wonder, you know, it is maybe it's more fundamental than that. It's just a belief. What is it? What is there about this balance of good to bad, pleasant to unpleasant? We know that if we call something pleasant, we're implying that there's something that's not pleasant or something unpleasant. So everything has a balance. In language, at least, it has a balance. In our life, we can apply a balance thing to things. But is there any inherent balancing that goes on? Does it actually work at that level? Where did you develop this idea that if you have something good, something bad has to happen? Where did that come from? I have no idea where mine
Maybe
comes from. Yeah.
I think it's more about the contrast.
Ah,
It's
yeah.
like when you feel the bad thing, you're gonna, oh, I was feeling good. And you contrast it with that difference. And maybe that makes it even more bad.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm feeling not so good. So when I feel bad, not a big change.
Mm. Yeah.
I right now, I like to play with this belief because, you know, for a long time, when you are coming to this meeting and talking about yourself, you always feel bad. Yeah, it's like you feel a burden, you feel that. So maybe you felt bad for such a long time, but now it is time to balance it.
Yeah, you must have a lot of good coming your way after all the bad you've experienced. Boy, are you going to bank it? Or is it only that good attracts bad, but bad does not attract good?
Sometimes I felt like I'm not only just feeling like grieving the past, I'm also like grieving the future, and
Hmm.
it's like I'm in advance feeling bad for everything that will come. So
So you're doing the balancing. Is that right? You're trying to ensure some good in the future by expecting bad.
is that what I'm doing?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm asking. Yeah. It's it's amazing. I mean, I'm just enthralled. You know, what is actually happening? It's just so hard to get a hold of. Yeah, but but it's exciting stuff. I like it. Not that it's necessarily pleasant for you, but wow, how do you expect bad? I mean, you not only must have thoughts about, well, maybe they don't have to be formed thoughts about the future to know that they're going to be bad. But there is a some kind of an anticipation of bad in the future, but not of good. Is that right?
Yeah.
And if we see the brain as a predictive organ, and what it does is it takes the smallest amount of information that it requires in order to create a prediction. That's what it does all the time. It's the nature of the brain to do that. It's very good at it. But yours always predicts bad things. And presumably that's because it's worked out from from previous experience, how it would get its information about what to expect in the future. So looking back, it sees bad stuff, and therefore looking forward, it sees bad stuff. Is that right?
I don't think I think so much about future and past. I and weirdly enough, so I actually there's some voice in me like who's say like it's gonna be okay, but it's like no, I'm not gonna believe you.
Okay. Yeah. Good one. Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So this is exciting. What is there, those voices different? The voice that says, you're going to be okay. That voice, is it got a different sound to it than the voice that says, no, you're not? Are they different people? Are they different sounding voices?
Yeah, they have different feeling.
Mm. So tell me about them. Exaggerate them in your mind and see, is the one that says, you'll be okay. Does that one have wisdom and knowledge behind it, or is it an innocent, naive kind of thing? And the one that says, no, definitely not, is that a heavy, does that sound like it knows, or is it just, is it a warning, foreboding? What is it? What is the flavor of each of those voices?
The no voice is like both has like a warning sound or intention,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a different flavor of like it doesn't matter what's gonna happen, it's all shit. It's just
Yeah.
uh,
Right, that sounded like Marvin the paranoid android on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Do you know that one?
no.
No, you don't know that? Okay, that's all right. It's a long time ago. It's well worth listening to if you can get a hold of the audio book of that one. It's great. But Marvin the
Yeah,
paranoid android always said, "Oh no, we're all doomed."
but Ramiz, when you said this, no, I won't be okay. It sounded to me like a rebel.
Rebellion. Yeah.
I don't know if it's just
Yeah, go with your
um,
intuition. That's the best way to get at these things for sure. Yeah.
you know, like a teenager that is hearing it will be fine, and you know it would work for a child, but not for the teenager. Teenager knows better.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, you don't actually have to say anything. I mean, what's been happening is we've been contemplating, we've been looking, we've been investigating, and that's good in itself. We don't have to come to any conclusions.
I have to go, guys. I'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Maybe it's time for us to wind up. You feel okay, Ramiz? You feel okay about?
I didn't hear. I feel okay about what?
Oh, just about winding up now, not chasing something to an answer.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Oh, that's good stuff. Okay. I'm going to cook pasta for tea tonight. Pasta, however you say it. All right. Night night.
Bye.